first quarter, toss-up 1. This Prime Minister invoked the War Measures Act following the kidnapping. That's correct. Toss-up 2. In this league's early years, teams like the Charlotte Sting and Sacramento Monarchs were disbanded. The Houston Comets won this league's first 4 titles, but folded in 2008 due to financial issues and poor ownership. This league's current champions, the New York Liberty, won their first title in 2024. For 10 points, name this basketball league in which Caitlin Clark plays for the Indiana Fever. Correct. Toss-up 3. This philosopher explained how some men go hungry if they stand on their spears. And this philosopher noted that if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. For 10 points, name this philosopher from the Eastern Zhou period who wrote, incorrect, The Art of War. Incorrect, it's Sun Tzu. Toss-up 4. This man's empire was divided among his grandsons by the Treaty of Verdun. This shall correct. Good buzzes. Toss-up 5. This man crossed the Alps with war elephants during 10 years. That is correct. Yep. Toss-up 6. Daniel Dennett is a philosopher who is most famous for defending this position, which was one of the main themes espoused by Ricky Gervais in his Netflix special, Supernature. Besides Dennett, the other 3 people who are known as the 4 horsemen of this position are Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, and Richard Dawkins. For 10 points, name this belief system advanced by Bertrand Russell in his book, Why I Am Not Christian. Correct. Toss-up 7. Silversea, Cunard, and Holland America are 3 companies that specialize in very expensive versions of these events. CNN anchor Anderson Cooper's great-uncle Harold Vanderbilt invented the card game Bridge during one of these events, which have mostly phased out their once common midnight buffets. A 1912 event of this type ended abruptly when the primary item in it encountered an iceberg.
Sea voyage?
The prompt?
A boat traveling across the ocean?
Incorrect. For 10 points, name these events that take place on luxurious hotel-like ships. And that is time. Also incorrect. It is cruises.
That's a bunch of obvious answers.
Toss-up 8. This man's ambitions for the presidency were outlined in his autobiographical, My First Days in the White House. That's correct.
Right, so questions 3 and 7 went dead, so this will add up to 60. We have Chadbourne 30, and we have GT 30.
Excellent. Second quarter. Toss-up 1. Following the reign of Emperor Qi Anlong, this dynasty was forced to sign the unequal treaties, following which this dynasty entered a period of decline that was worsened by the Opium Wars. Meeting its end, that's correct. Bonus to Joshua Chadbourne. This ruler, the last Qing emperor, headed the Japanese puppet state of Manchukuo during World War II.
And why?
Incorrect, it's Puyi. Toss-up 2. 2 factors leading to this amendment were the 1796 presidential election, which returned rivals as president and vice president, and a 36-round contingent election in 1800. For 10 points, name this 1804 amendment, which has governed all presidential elections since.
Quote.
Correct. Bonus to Joshua Chadbourne. Aaron Burr, who finished second in the 1800 contingent election, was the grandson of this revivalist preacher who is known for the sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God.
William Burr.
Incorrect, it's Jonathan Edwards. Toss-up 3. One discovery made by this man was confirmed by Jean-Baptiste Perrin through precision experiments. With André-Marie Ampère, this man lends his name to a law which states that equal volumes of gas at identical pressures and temperatures, incorrect, will have the same number of molecules. A constant named for this man is one of the 7 of the defined as part of the SI base units. For 10 points, name this Italian nobleman and scientist who defined the number of constituent particles in 1 mole of a substance. That's correct. Bonus to Joshua Chadbourne. Also naming one of the fundamental constants is this German theoretical physicist considered one of the pioneers of quantum theory. That is time. It's Max Planck. Toss-up 4. Norwegian Japet Lindeberg founded this town, which became the center of a gold rush after it was discovered at Anvil Creek. Incorrect. The Great Race of Mercy had its endpoint in this city, making the Husky Balto famous. And this city also lies at the western end of the Iditarod Trail. For 10 points, name this town in western Alaska, the destination of a relay by sled dogs to treat its diphtheria epidemic in 1925. Incorrect. It's Nome. You'll have the right state. Toss-up 5. This man's son described the death of 4 members of the Adventure Consultants in Touching My Father's Soul. While working with John Hunt, this man met and saved his later collaborator with an ice pick when he fell into a crevasse. Known for summiting Mount Everest with Edmund Hillary. Time? For
Tenzing Norgay.
That's correct. Bonus to Joshua Chadbourne. Tenzing Norgay's son, Jamling, was invited to meet this religious leader of Tibet in 2010, bringing attention to the lack of media coverage when Sherpas die in climbing expeditions. That's correct for 10. I also met him. He pretended to be a cat. I did. Yep, the Dalai Lama. Full top. Toss-up 6. Andrew Ellicott was tasked with surveying a border set by this treaty along the 31st parallel. This treaty was also known as the Treaty of San Lorenzo, and it guaranteed the United States navigation rights over the Mississippi River via the fee free of goods at New Orleans. Incorrect. For 10 points, name this 17. Apologize. This treaty resolved disputes over the boundary between the United States and La Florida. For 10 points, name this 1795 treaty signed between the United States and Spain, negotiated by a member of a prominent South Carolina family. And that's time. That is Thomas Pinckney. 7. To avoid a war, one holder of this office arranged a duel between 2 sets of triplets, the Horatii and the Curatii. In addition to Tullus Hostilius, this office was held by Tarquin the Proud. This office was established on the power. I will accept that. King of Rome. Sorry. Toss up to Joshua Chadbourne. The second king of Rome, Numa Pompilius, was of this ethnicity, whose women were abducted by early Romans to be their wives.
Sabine.
That's correct. And toss up 8. This man made his subordinates eat walrus meat after being forced to backtrack to the Aleutians. While serving in the 7 Years' War, this man mapped the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and the death of this man has been blamed by some on his association with the fertility god Lono. For 10 points, name this British Cook. Correct. Bonus to Joshua Chadbourne. Cook's 3rd voyage was mainly meant to find this trade route, which was first traversed by Robert McClure while searching for the lost Franklin expedition, which was also searching for it. That's correct for 10.
Right, in that order, let's see, we have GT at 30, and Joshua Chadbourne, you added 90. You're currently at 120.
Our 3rd order categories are Rhode Island, 19th century Poland and Lebanon. Rhode Island, 19th century Poland, Lebanon. Let's do it. Nobody wants to do it. Like, thank you.
Can you for the choice also
Yep, absolutely. That's okay. We can leave it like that, and then no one can buzz in during this time. All questions in this category will begin with the phrase concerning the history of Lebanon, name thee. 1. Sea on which habitation of Lebanon began as early as 5000 BC. Correct. U.S. president who supported Lebanese leader Camille Chamoun in the late 1950s.
Eisenhower.
Correct. Capital city, which was the site of the 1980. Correct. Tree on the Lebanese flag, which named. Correct. Offshoot of Islam, which believes in reincarnation and makes up nearly 6% of the Lebanese population.
Shia.
Incorrect. Last name shared by the two most recent presidents, Michel and Joseph, the latter of whom took office in 2025.
Muhammad.
Incorrect. Our bounce backs to GT. Offshoot of Islam, which believes in reincarnation and makes up nearly 6% of the Lebanese population. Okay, that is the Druze. And last name shared by the two most recent presidents, Michel and Joseph, the latter of whom took office in 2025. Fair? It is own. So it's 4 correct? 4. What do you like? All right. Your choices. Absolutely. Easy. All right. Yep. All right. All questions in this category will begin with the phrase concerning the history of Rhode Island, name thee. 1. Practice of forcing Africans into involuntary servitude, a key part of early trade in Rhode Island. Correct. Capital of Rhode Island, whose plantations formed the original name of the colony of Rhode Island. Correct. Ivy League University, founded as Rhode Island College. Correct. Rhode Island City near Narragansett Bay, home to a noted annual jazz festival since 1954. Union General and Rhode Island Governor who lost at Fredericksburg and is remembered for his facial hair. Rhode Island Senator who names a college grant created by a 1972 bill he sponsored. Okay. All right, our bounce backs. Rhode Island City near Narragansett Bay, home to a noted annual jazz festival since 1954. That is the Newport Jazz Festival. Union General and Rhode Island Governor who lost to Fredericksburg and is remembered for his facial hair.
Burnside.
That's correct. For his side. Burns. Rhode Island Senator who names a college grant created by a 1972 bill he sponsored. That is Claiborne Pell.
Great. So you added 30 lightning points. Your correct score is 60 at first. And you added 40 lightning and 10 bounce back. You correctly have 170.
Here we go. Fourth quarter. Toss up 1. It's not Mexico, but this country where the FMLN led another rebellion achieved peace after the Chapultepec Peace Accords. In this country, Death Squad leader Roberto Dabus was accused of ordering the murder of Archbishop Oscar Romero. Incorrect. For 10 points, name this Central American country that fought both civil wars and the football war against Honduras and is currently led by New Ideas politician Nayib Bukele. Incorrect. It is El Salvador. Toss up 2. This structure was constructed under the lead of John Casement, and during its construction, brothels and saloons followed workers in what was called Hell on Wheels. In 1867, Chinese workers building this structure in the... That's correct for 30. Toss-up 3. At this battle, George Crook tried to capture Burnside's bridge, which was defended by Henry Benning and Robert Toombs' men. Fighting at this battle occurred at locations like Miller's Cornfield and the Dunker Church. Correct for 20. The toss-up 4, the seventh pandemic of this disease, which lasted throughout the 1960s and 1970s, was caused by an L-Tor biotype. Filippo Pacini and Robert Koch discovered the responsible microbial agent of this disease, and John Snow became known as the culprit. Correct for 20. Toss-up 5. This man created 2 design plans to develop Oklahoma City. This architect designed a museum in Cleveland where ground... That's correct for 30. Toss-up 6. In this novel, a character pretends his sister Lies or Lise died of typhus to hide a coffin full of supplies. A fisherman named Henrik helps smuggle refugees across the sea in this novel, and the protagonist hides a package containing a handkerchief treated with rabbit's blood and cocaine. Set in Nazi-occupied Denmark, this novel follows Anna Marie Johansson as she helps her Jewish friend Ellen escape. For 10 points, name this Lois Lowry novel about the Danish... Correct for 10. Toss-up 7. Keio University in Tokyo is the only location in Asia to possess a complete fusion of these things. Most of these items were produced at the Humbrachthof in Mainz, and about a quarter of these things were made using vellum or animal skin instead of paper. James Lennox was the first American to acquire one of these things, which is on display at the New York Public Library. For the 10 points, name these religious books printed. Correct for 10. And toss up the last. Despite Margaret Chase Smith's Declaration of Conscience, this state's Ralph Landers was the first Republican senator to introduce a censure declaration against Joseph McCarthy. A 48-year senator from this state appeared in The Dark Knight and other Batman movies and was recently succeeded by Peter Welch. For 10 points, identify this New England state, which was represented by Patrick Leahy and is currently represented by Bernie Sanders. That's correct for 10.
All right, so we have GT at 60 and our national champions for 2025, Joshua Chadbourne.
So here, well, Lucas, if you would be so kind as to grab our hardware.
Good job, guys. Wait.
But recognize further these teams who are just outstanding and have put in so much work this entire year and at this tournament. This was outstanding to watch. It was really great blitzing. First up, our runners up in the elementary school division National History Bowl and our highest ranking girls, we've got GT School. You're welcome. Congratulations.
Job out.
Good. And this year's National Elementary School History Bowl champions are Joshua Chadbourne Elementary. We've got two. We've got a third for your teammate who helped you get here. And we've got your culture.